This is the Horse Radio Network. This is episode 103 of Horse Tip Daily, a different horse tip, a different equine topic, a different equestrian expert every day. Horse Tip Daily brings the world of equine knowledge to you one day at a time. Today's tip is sponsored by Equestrian Collections. For all of your holiday and winter shopping needs, visit equestriancollections.com. Enjoy today's tip. Well, I'm Glenn the Geek from Lexington, Kentucky, and you're listening to Horse Tip Daily. Welcome back, everybody. Well, today we have back with us, we haven't had him on for a while, one of the most enjoyable and passionate horse dentists that you're going to find anywhere in the horse world. He's the most popular equine dentist on Twitter, and I think in real life, too. He travels the country doing dentistry for people all over the place, actually, for some well-named riders that you would know, and down to your barn as well. He runs the equinepractice.com, and he uses the tagline, Equine Dentistry Without Drama, and is an advocate for using no power tools. When he's around the horses, the mouth is a power tool-free zone. We'll get Dr. Jeff Tucker on with us right after I speak about Equestrian Collections. You know, we have a major winter storm that has just come across the entire country, a blizzard in the middle of the country, some nasty weather in the east. It's just been a mess everywhere. Very cold here in Kentucky. It's supposed to get down to 12 tonight. So it's that time of year when you need to look to replace that blanket. It has holes in it. It's all torn up. You've been saying, I want to replace that blanket. I'll just put it off till next year, and I'll just put it off to next year. Well, next year is here, and winter has arrived with a fury. So for all of your sheet and blanketing needs, visit equestriancollections.com. They have over 20 different brands of blankets to choose from at prices that you won't believe. And right now, you can get $10 off your next order of $120 or more by just using the coupon code STABLESCOOP. All one word, STABLESCOOP at checkout, and you'll get your $10 off that next order of $120 or more, and as we know, most blankets are over that, so you definitely use that coupon code when shopping at Equestrian Collections for your blanketing needs. And don't forget, it's not too late for all those Christmas gifts. Their whole homepage is full of ideas for Christmas, so visit them at equestriancollections.com. Well, now on with Dr. Jeff Tucker. Well, hi, Dr. Tucker, and welcome back to Horse Tip Daily.
Hi, Glenn. How you doing?
Good. You know, it's always fun having you on, and we're getting a good reaction to your tips on Facebook. Well, that's where we hear most of our feedback now. And
I hear you have some exciting news that you're spreading out.
We keep growing, and the shows keep growing, and we actually, thanks to Equestrian Collections, who I know you know, Chris over there.
Oh, Chris is great.
She advertises. As a matter of fact, she's advertising on this particular episode we're talking on right now. And
I'm gonna have to take her out to lunch.
There we go. She allows us to post all of our shows on her Facebook fan page, and we get a lot of good reaction to the tips there. So it's always fun to see what people have to say.
Well, I always love talking about horses, especially from a veterinarian point of view, plus also a horsemanship point of view. So hopefully I can give you a couple of tips that'll make some sense and maybe be refreshing.
All right. So what do you have for us today?
Well, you know that my practice is limited to equine dentistry, and I want to talk about one thing that's so important. And I have all the textbooks on equine dentistry, and I've read them all cover to cover. And whenever I ask about the tongue or look up any information on the tongue or why the tongue is there and the use of the tongue, I get one paragraph, and it always talks about lacerations. But what I've noticed in my practice of 26 years is the tongue is so important in forming the bolus of the food. And the bolus is basically what you swallow. And if you can't get the bolus to be exactly right, you become afraid to swallow it. And oftentimes you'll find some quids, which is just balled up hay that's thrown out on the ground. Well, there's a nice study done where they looked at about 17 horses, and they tried to determine what the food was like all throughout the digestive tract from the beginning to the end. So they took these 17 horses with various types of mouths as far as the teeth go, from sharp to very sharp to, they basically have never been worked on. And they gave them all a regular diet. They're all identical. And what they found was, which most horse people already know, it doesn't matter how bad the teeth were, what came out the end all looked the same. And what they determined was most of the digestion is done in the intestines and not in the mouth. Now, we all know that there's some saliva and helps breaking down the food. And we've always been told that chewing is the first step of digestion. But what at least my interpretation is, that chewing's part of digestion is getting the food from outside the body into the stomach. And that's where the digestion really starts to take place. Now, what's so important about the tongue is if there's any sharp point on the tooth, that sharp point will cause the horse to move the tongue in a different direction and try and stay away from the pain. And one of my earlier tips that I talked about was threshold of pain and how every horse's degree of pain is different. There are wimps out there and there's some tough guys. Well, where I really notice it is in the older horse where the teeth have been neglected, and I go in those mouths and the teeth are so sharp, it's like needles sticking into the tongue. And the poor horse just can't move the tongue around to get the hay where it needs to be. So what I'd like to do is just ask your listeners to do an exercise. Take your tongue and take the tip of it and place it behind the left bottom tooth right now. And you can do it. Now do it to the back of the upper right tooth. In fact, you can place the tip of your tongue in almost any spot inside your mouth. Well, the horse can do the same thing. And if you have bitten your tongue or you have a canker on your tongue or any degree, you keep that tongue pushed off to one side to avoid the pain. Well, just imagine a horse has a sharp point that's in there constantly irritating the tongue. He can't get the tongue to move the bolus of food around, so they tend to swallow the food whole, or they don't ingest the food as efficiently. So the purpose of floating teeth, in my book, in my practice, is to remove all causes of pain, all things that are creating pain in the horse's mouth. And over and over again, I'll go in there and float one side of one mouth on the bottom back, and I'll just get those sharp teeth that are digging right into the tongue. And within 60 seconds of floating the horse who has his head up and he's just afraid, drops their head. They start licking their lips. They're like in so much relief. It's almost incredible. In fact, I have a gal working here the other day who floated two horses' teeth, separate owners, and both owners were in tears because they saw such relief in their horse just removing the sharp points. And that's why I think the tongue should be made mention more, that the tongue is so important in getting the bolus of food down. And if you aren't taking care of your horse's teeth and removing all sources of pain, forget about the bit. I mean, on a daily basis, they must be in agony. So there's my point.
That's very interesting because you never think about when you're eating. I mean, if you want to take it back to the humans again, when you're eating, that's how the tongue is how you move the food back and forth in your mouth.
Exactly.
And you never think about that because you just do it. But
I got to tell you, there's a man in my practice who got a tumor or a brain problem, and he was unable to swallow. He had forgotten and could not relearn how to swallow. And we sit here thinking, or we don't even think about swallowing our food. And this man eventually died. And he went to see a Neil Young concert as his last farewell to life, as he wasted away. And his wife just, there's nothing they could do for him.
Wow.
And that's an extreme case. But if you're impaired in swallowing for any reason, such as a soreness on the tongue, these horses are in agony. So there you have it.
Well, Dr. Tucker, all of us never thought about the tongue that much. So now,
I think about it daily.
Yeah, you do. I'm sure you do. You see a lot of them every day.
Oh, yeah.
Well, thank you very much. Where can people find out more about you?
Go to theequinepractice.com, theequinepractice.com. I've got tons of videos. I talk about the tongue and the importance of the tongue right there. You can hear this over and over again. It's just that important.
And you do have a great website. And actually, since we probably spoke the last time, it's been updated and it looks pretty good.
I'm working on it constantly, blogs and everything.
All right, good. All right, thanks, Dr. Tucker.
Thank you, Glenn.
Well, thanks again to Dr. Tucker. And remember, you can go to Horse Tip Daily and just search on the experts drop-down menu in the left border of the page there. Just search for Jeff Tucker with a G, and you'll find all of his tips, and you can go back and listen to them if you've missed some in the past. And now that we have 103 of them, it's very likely you have missed some, although there are people I have heard from that have listened to every single one of them. If you're one of those people, I'd love to hear from you. Just drop me an email at Glenn with 2 N's at horseradionetwork.com. And let me know if you're one of those people that has listened to every tip. Also, we wanted to say that you can follow Jeff. He's called on Twitter. It's just Equine Practice on Twitter. And this week on the Eventing Radio Show, Chris spent some time at the USEA Annual Convention, United States Eventing Association, for those of you that are overseas and may not know. And she spoke to David O'Connor, of course, a legend in eventing, and was just inducted into the Eventing Hall of Fame. And he's also the president of the USEA, our United States Equestrian Association, or USEF, rather, our United States Equestrian Federation. And David was on the show for about a half an hour speaking about a multitude of subjects, including the World Equestrian Games. And you can listen to that episode over at eventingradio.com. And you can check out all the other great shows on the network at horseradionetwork.com. Well, I'll be back again tomorrow with the final episode of Fran Jurga's Gift Tips, where she recommends some CDs this time. Not books, but CDs. And that'll be the final in that episode, or that series that we have done, trying to give you some gift ideas for that horse lover in your life. Until then, stay safe, everyone.